And welcome to the NFL Today on YouTube. Joined with my guys here. Hey, folks, it was week 2 action, but Bill Cowher, these two teams, the Giants and the Cowboys, they played with a sense of urgency.
Yeah, it was a divisional game, I think, for both these teams. Trying to get that first win was very, very important. And I think, obviously, for Brian Schottenheimer, congratulations to him for getting his first win. You know, for Brian Daboll, we're up here in New York. You hear the noise. A lot of talk about Russell Wilson. Should he be benched? And, you know, where's Jackson Dart in the future? And is this a big must year for Brian? So I thought both these teams came out, went toe-to-toe, particularly in the second half of that game. And, I mean, Brendan Aubrey, say what you want, that was a difference in the game. I know you can go down and talk about all these other things, but when you have a field goal kicker like this, a 64-yarder to tie the game, that to me was a difference in the game. We can break it down as we will talk about with this game, but man, Russell Wilson played well. I thought Dallas played well. It was a great back and forth game.
Yeah, this was about a bounce back from week 1.
Yeah.
You talked about Dallas, and Matt, I'll let you touch on Dak Prescott because you made some really good points about him earlier. But getting back to Russell Wilson, there's boos that are happening in New York. There are people that are whispering, some whispers louder than others, asking for Jackson Dart. We saw him a little bit. I think it was more package related.
Yes.
But yet and still, people weren't sure about Russell Wilson in week 1.
Right.
And then we also saw Malik Neighbors on the sideline, frustrated.
Right.
And as the kids say, he was moments from crashing out. People were saying, you know what, this isn't going to work. Russ isn't a guy that's going to let the ball go. We haven't seen him really let it fly since the Seattle days. And guess what? Russell went out there and had himself a day. 450 yards for Russell Wilson, dropping dimes left and right in that beautiful fade ball that we're used to seeing for his entire career. And not to mention, he gets Malik Neighbors going.
Yeah.
He feeds him, throws it to him 13 times. He catches 9, puts up a $167 plus 2 TDs. Wan'Dale Robinson gets involved. Yeah. He has a $140. All I'm saying is, regardless of what you think about Russell Wilson, win or loss, I'm not putting this on his shoulders. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the team and saying, if we tighten up in a few areas and Russell Wilson plays like this each week, not only will we have a good season, we are going to be in the playoffs. And that is something to say for the New York Giants, who have been unfulfilling for the last few years.
Those are big ifs, right? We've got the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. We've got the Washington Commanders in the NFC. You've got the Dallas Cowboys, who you just lost to in the NFC. So I agree with you. And let's give credit where credit's due. Russell played fantastic today.
Yeah.
He really did. He kept them in that ball game, made some great throws down the field. I think if you're a New York Giants fan or if you're the New York Giants, the question becomes about the direction of the organization moving forward.
Okay.
And certainly Jackson Dart is going to be at the center of that. What is the timing? I'm a believer that the best experience is game experience. So you have a young quarterback, and when is the right time to put him out there to gain that game experience for the future? We'll see. But let's not take anything away from Russell Wilson. My issue is not with Russell Wilson. Right? He played fantastic today. On the other side of it, I think there's Dak Prescott. And I think Dak plays in Dallas. And playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is different from playing quarterback for other organizations.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of arrows thrown in his direction throughout his career.
Not to mention that number hanging over his head.
Not to mention.
Making $60 million a year.
Okay, that's part of it. And that's part of being a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I played at a time where my contracts were public knowledge, and those were questions that you have to answer. And those are fair questions.
Right.
He delivered.
He delivered.
He delivered. As much as we want to put shine on Russell Wilson, and he deserves it, Dak did the opposite on the other side, consistently taking his football team down there and making plays when they needed to. I thought this was a great football game. I thought on both sides it was a great football game. Offensively.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Defensively,
Can we talk about that?
Defensively,
think
it's a
about
little
the two
different.
teams that were in the Super Bowl a year ago. The Philadelphia Eagles. What they did defensively up front, they manhandled the Kansas City Chiefs. And how did the Kansas City Chiefs get there? With Steve Spagnuolo and a defensive package that puts you under pressure for the entire time. These two teams better figure it out what's going on the defensive side of the ball. These two teams right now, the New York Giants got 20 penalties in the first 2 weeks. And you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. They have 16 penalties in the first 2 weeks. You can't beat yourself. You got to play defense, and you can't continue to try to outscore people. At some point, you sat there, and we see the guy that goes up to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, and he makes the difference, and he makes impact on that.
Talking about Michael Parsons.
Yeah, Micah Parsons. But I'm just saying, to me, These are two teams that better get more balanced on the defensive side of the ball. And whether you do that by running the football a little bit more instead of airing the thing out, take the air out of it, shorten the game, this is not sustainable for them to sit there and think that I'm going to throw. There was 1,000 yards of offense in this game, which means there was 0 defense in this game.
Yes.
And it came down to a field goal kicker who kicked a 64-yarder to tie the game up to get into overtime. So I would look on the defensive side of the ball. You sit there and who you have as pass rushers or don't have as a pass rusher, what you're doing schematically is not getting done. So this is where, to me, the coaches have to sit back. You got a little bit of a body of work.
Yeah.
Okay, after 2 weeks, you got a little bit of a body of work. You just got to be able to adapt and adjust to what you have. And, Abdul Carter, you get him, move him around.
Yeah.
Put those 3 guys out there. You should be getting more pressure on the quarterback.
Get creative.
Yes, and
you got a sample size of what you have on your roster. You know your personnel.
And the creative may be who you are.
Yeah.
But you need to adapt and adjust each week to what you see. And that, to me, is where these guys right now, if I'm going back there, I'm worried about the offensive side. That'll take care of itself. You're right. With what they're doing with Jackson Dart, the package, and Russell Wilson, what he did, and we know that Dak's going to be doing there with C.D. Lamb. They're playing. They're fine.
Yeah.
But the defensive side of the ball, you better figure this out right now. And that means if I got to go to a pressure defense and take more chances, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because here, listen, we know late in the season, cold games.
Yeah.
You got to be able to run the ball and play good on defense.
Yeah.
You can't get into these high-scoring affairs late in November and December.
And not beat yourself.
Not beat yourself.
I tell
So
you,
let me ask this question. I mean, this is week 2, and I hear you guys all preseason saying it's going to take the first 4 weeks to find out what you really have because guys don't play during the preseason. Is the level of concern that real and warranted by, say, the Giants fans, or have you guys seen anything positive that will say the next couple of weeks they've got something to build on?
I'll say this. Coach makes a good point about being disciplined and penalties because as a guy in a locker room, I remember being on a couple of teams for the first couple of weeks, we had a ton of penalties. And because they weren't addressed properly and we didn't work on the small details of the game, they followed us to the midway point of the season. And before you knew it, we were knuckleheads. And to keep it real, JB, some of that stuff spilled off the field as well. Yeah. So you have to address all of these small things because this isn't the preseason. These are the first couple of weeks of the NFL season of 2025. You are who you're going to become middle of the season, late in the year. This is the budding stages of who you're going to be in December. So you have to make sure that you tighten up in all these different areas.
And I also think you've got to understand who's in the division that you're in, correct? And so the sense of urgency of correcting the mistakes, playing better defense, being more disciplined when it comes to penalties and all of those things, that's not going to cut it against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that's
not going to cut it against what the Washington Commanders were last year. You're going to have to keep pace with those teams as you move forward. And forget about just the division. Let's talk about the NFC. I mean, you got teams in Detroit that looked excellent today.
Yep.
The Green Bay Packers have gotten off to a fast start. The NFC West, we've got multiple teams that could be 2-0 by the end of the day. The San Francisco 49ers finding ways to eke out wins. Yes, it's early, and you're finding out about your football team. But as you're finding out about them, you cannot lose too much ground. You can't be uncompetitive when you get to Halloween or you get into November.
And you can't leave any stone unturned. And don't sit that back and say, wow, maybe we should have tried this or tried that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a panic mode, but I think you're in an adapt and adjust mode, which means to me that you make sure you can take a look at everything you have on your roster because you know going forward, this is what you have.
Yep.
And I don't want to sit here and wait, but, maybe we should have tried this scheme in week 6. And I'll say, no. If you're in right now and you see a problem, number 1, okay, it's circumstance. Number 2 starts to become twice in a row, it's a trend. And number 3, if you do it 3 weeks in a row, it's a problem.
And it's who you are.
And the best players have to step up, right? All summer long, all I heard about was the Giants' front seven, and the issues are going to be on the offensive side of the ball. But this might be one of the best front sevens in the league. We have to play like that.
So yes and no. Did you see any improvement in the Giants and/or Cowboys in week 2?
JB, yes. Offensively, yes.
Okay.
Defensively,
but defensively,
no.
But now, to his point, adapt and adjust. So that's what you're hoping to see next week going forward, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reevaluate and try to come up with a better game plan next week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get. And the guys are looking at me like, JB, that's why you're not coaching. You're showing too much slack.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
Those are the same questions everyone's asking, and even players in the locker room. Why did we not do this or do that?
Your point well taken, not to have it go forward. All right, folks. Hey, folks, be sure to join us next Sunday, 12 noon, right here on the NFL Today. We'll see you then.